Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to Brawl Breakdown. The show where the only thing breaking down will be our enemies' spines! The show where I will be breaking down some of anime's best fight scenes. If you couldn't already tell, this episode will be following one of the big three of this season of anime, Vinland Saga. Specifically episode 4, where the show pits the huge behemoth of a man, Thors, versus the bountiful brigade of bandits that have baited and basically beaten his entire party. Alliteration is fun. There will obviously be spoilers past this point, so for any heathens that for some reason haven't already watched this show yet, and are still watching this video, drop whatever you're doing and go watch this now. And now without any further ado, on with the analysis. So to first understand this fight scene, we have to know the setting, situation, and the circumstances that led the characters to where they currently are. Let's start with the circumstances first. As we found out in episode 2, Thors is a part of an elite group of warriors, the Vikings, a group of Vikings who are brutally efficient on the battlefield, tearing through entire fleets of soldiers with ease. Thors was one of the elite of this group, known to his enemies and allies alike as the fearsome Troll of Yorm. But Thors started to tire of the blood-filled life he's lived so far, so he deserted the battlefield and retired to a small remote town in Iceland to start a family and hopefully put his gruesome past behind him. However, fate is not that benevolent, and after 15 years of peace, his tranquil lifestyle was suddenly interrupted. His former comrades from the Vikings came sailing to their shore looking for conscripts for the upcoming war, only to find their long-lost captain. There's no way the group of warriors would allow Thors to live in peace, especially when they know how brutally effective he was on the battlefield. So the current commander of the fleet, Floki, threatens the village to force Thors to join the battle, and telling any other young men looking for glory to join him on the front lines. The boys of their town have grandiose visions of what war is, thinking they will go out, kill their enemy, gain glory, and come back victorious, their name talked about in legends for generations. So with these delusions driving the youngsters, Thors and his group of greenhorns set sail from their village, with the main character Thorfinn sneaking on board to join his father, even though he is far too young to help whatsoever. However, Floki isn't so gracious as to forgive a deserter, so he enlists the help of a group of skilled bandits to hunt down Thors, making the great journey the young men on board dreamed about come to a rude awakening as they are suddenly trapped. Vastly outnumbered by bandits who have vast experience in battle, things are looking increasingly grim. Stuck in a ravine, their escape blocked off, and archers surrounding them. This is where the battle begins. With Thor's companions having never fought in an actual battle, it is all up to him to defeat the entire fleet of enemies before him, and so in a single leap he draws the enemy's attention by bringing the fight to them, making it so the enemy can't fight his inexperienced wards without going through him first. But Thors has already seen far too much blood during his time in the war, so he is resolved not to kill any of them, even with him soloing against an entire army of bandits. He is relying on his hand-to-hand skills to take them out, already putting him at a severe disadvantage. At least, you would think so, but because of how skilled Thors is, and with the amount of experience he has gotten in combat, he is able to analyze each of the enemy's attacks and counter them with extreme precision. An overhead attack? Break the attacker's arm. A wide swing? Go for the face. What if an enemy is attacking with an axe? We'll grab the shaft and disarm him, of course. He has been through so many battles that he knows the answer to each and every single move his enemy makes, showing off how outclassed these small fry really are, not being able to even lay a finger on Thors. But in every army, there isn't only small fry, and that makes itself incredibly evident with the roar of one of the bandits. Bjorn the Bandit was already a large and evidently strong man if he was someone the bandits look toward for commands, but after he's eaten what Thors identifies as a berserker mushroom, he looks all the more threatening, with him towering over the already imposing Thors. However, with the bonus and strength the berserker mushroom gives, Bjorn loses the ability to think rationally, leaving himself wide open in each of his attacks. And against a warrior such as Thors, that's a deadly mistake. He instantly takes advantage of those glaring openings and strikes, putting his full force behind his hits to take down the hulking behemoth. With one of their heavy hitters down, the bandits start to lose morale, but at the same time, the ship carrying the bandit captain Askeladd pulls up to Thor's companions. With them being vastly inexperienced, they would have no chance if a battle were to break out, along with the many archers surrounding the boat just waiting for the signal to fire. And as Thors jumps back over to his ship, he knows there is only one option left for him to choose. He challenges Askeladd to a duel, forcing him to either accept or lose face in front of his men. Not to mention, if he doesn't accept, Thors will take out as many of his men as he can before he dies. With the ultimatum Thors has placed down, Askeladd has little choice but to accept his request, accepting the terms that if Askeladd loses the duel, he will have to immediately leave, and if he wins, he can do whatever he wants. Now, both warriors can sense that the other is strong, and both will be putting their all into this battle. Because of how strong a warrior Askeladd is, Thors knows that he won't be able to win unless he draws his sword. When up to this point, he has been able to dispose of 30 plus men with only his bare hands. It gives a testament to how serious he will be taking this battle, but he is also fully confident in his ability to win, and this is where their deadly duel starts. Thors might have been a bit too confident in his ability to win though, because right away he ends up carelessly closing the distance, leaving him open to any sort of surprise attack Askeladd might pull, and sure enough, the moment Thors comes into range, Askeladd swipes at the rope holding the mast up, causing it to plummet and more importantly distracting Thors for a split second, allowing Askeladd to duck under the falling mast and go for a lethal strike right away. Not dropping a beat, Thors reacts when he doesn't see Askeladd past the mast, and looks where he could have gone. After seeing he ducked under the mast, he tries to dodge the slash to his chest, just barely reacting in time to avoid the strike being lethal. Seeing that his surprise attack didn't work, Askeladd immediately backs up to get to safety. Askeladd's men celebrate here, thinking that their captain expertly outmaneuvered Thors and has him on the ropes, but Askeladd isn't as enthusiastic. You see, he knows that in a straight-up fight, Thors has the advantage. After all, he is the troll of Yorm. So now that he failed to surprise him, he knows that any other tricks won't work. He is going to have to try and beat Thors in a fair one-on-one sword fight, something they both know Thors can beat Askeladd in. After a brief exchange, Thors jumps straight into combat, throwing numerous heavy swings Askeladd's way, making him flinch from the force behind each hit. After not trying to go for any feints and only focusing on his sword, Askeladd rapidly realizes that Thors is trying to break his sword. With the force Thors is putting behind his sword, he will soon break Askeladd's weapon if nothing changes. But because Askeladd realizes that if his sword is almost breaking from the vicious exchange, Thors' sword must also be on its last legs. And after waiting for the perfect moment, Askeladd strikes at Thors' sword, breaking it into pieces. Now with Thors weaponless and vulnerable, he can go for the killing blow. At least, that's what you would think, but as Thors rapidly shows, he was planning for Askeladd to break his sword from the start, baiting him into doing a wide overhead strike, allowing him to snap his arm up and disarm Askeladd, leaving him with an injured sword arm and giving Thors his weapon. With Askeladd hurt and with no way to escape Thors, the duel has now come to an end. Thors winning the duel means that Askeladd and his forces must leave without touching any of Thors' companions. But you can't forget the reason Askeladd and his troops were here in the first place. They were tasked with taking Thors' head, and they won't leave until they accomplish this task. So as Askeladd's right-hand man Bjorn wakes up and sees the precarious situation his captain is in, he knows that he has to do something or their target will get away. So without hesitation, he leaps onto Thors' helpless companions and takes his son Thorfinn hostage, forcing Thors into a position where his own hostage Askeladd is now worth basically nothing, once again leaving him with only one option. Now, before I say what's obviously about to happen, I have to give some background info. Thors as a character has been constantly referred to as this unbeatable demigod of a man throughout the entire series up to this point. Whether that be by cutting through hundreds of enemies on the battlefield, or by being the invincible father Thorfinn sees him as. But what my point is that he has been the answer to almost every single problem thus far. And as the audience, we know that Thors isn't the main character of Vinland Saga. Thorfinn is. And we also know that Thorfinn needs to somehow turn from this baby-faced innocent boy into the angry-at-the-world teen we see in the opening of the show. And that something has to trigger that transformation. I think you see where I'm going with this. Thors, he dies at the end of this episode, sacrificing himself to allow his son and the other young men from the village he has grown to care about so much escape and avoid living the same life of bloodshed he has. This is the turning point of the series, the point where Thorfinn is consumed with anger and regret that he wasn't able to stop his father's death, catapulting himself into the very life his father wanted him to avoid. And this, my friends, is where Thorfinn's story and Vinland Saga truly begins. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. Brawl Breakdown is a series I want to do a lot more of on this channel, so if you enjoyed watching me analyze one of the best fight scenes this season, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Vinland Saga has been one of my favorite shows so far this season, and now with Thorfinn diving headfirst into the blood-filled world of Vikings, I expect the show to only get better. I'd love to know what you guys think of Vinland Saga so far as well, so make sure to throw those opinions in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure, and I'll see you all in the next one.